What do you call two guys that were there when this happened?
Back to return at Spurlock. Michael Spurlock at the 10. He's to the 20. He's to the 25. For the 30. To the 40-yard line. We could see history. 50, 40, to the 30-yard line. Run, Michael. Run, Michael. Run, Michael. Run. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. There you go.
And that.
Shotgun set. 3 receivers left. And here's the snap, and the blitzer is picked up. Brady underneath. Caught ball. Evans. He has the record at the 11-yard line. Mike Evans becomes the first NFL player in league history to record 1,000 yards or more in his first 7 seasons and want to throw by Brady. Congratulations, Mike Evans.
Who can forget?
Gannon looking, Gannon throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Derek Brooks, the most valuable player in the National Football League. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Here's the snap. Mahomes running to his right. Look out. He may run. Mahomes directly. Oh, throw the end down. Battle intercepted. Picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world, and we still have 1:33 to go. Devin White, what a great second season. That's it for KC. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs. They can't stop the clock.
We call them the Salty Dogs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Salty Dogs podcast.
Hello, everyone. I like that. Changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, my name is Scott Smith.
And I am Jeff Ryan.
And we are the Salty Dogs.
We are, but not very salty right now.
We're feeling good.
Better than I did 2 weeks ago. How about that?
Yeah, it was funny because after the loss to Indianapolis, as they were turning the page, head coach Todd Bowles told the team, in 8 days, you can be in first place.
He did.
I guess the night before.
Saturday night before
the Carolina game.
Carolina, yep.
Because the Buccaneers had an opportunity to beat the Panthers and then the Falcons, and they did, and by doing so, as prophesied, the Bucs are tied for first.
So what does he say this Saturday night?
I'm sure he'll keep it focused on one game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what he's going to say.
You can't get to 4 unless you get to 3.
Yeah.
You know? You can't worry about anything else but tomorrow's game, perhaps.
So the Buccaneers are now at 6-7. So they reeled in the Falcons, who fell to 6-7. The Saints had the Panthers, and not to rip on the Panthers, but that was a likely win, which they handled pretty easily.
They didn't take it lightly. Let's say that.
And so they're all 6-7. Now, if you apply tiebreakers right now, the Buccaneers are in first. But I think you heard me talking about this earlier. I don't like looking at who's in. I mean, you have to rank them. You have to put somebody in first.
Well, yes, when you
put a graphic.
Yes, correct.
Or you have a standings page on your website.
Correct.
But I don't like to say things like, "Well, the Buccaneers are in first place right now," because tiebreakers as they stand now, don't mean anything.
That is a glass half full analogy.
Okay.
Because I might say we're tied for third place right now.
So I hope you wouldn't say that, because that's kind of silly.
No, but it is.
The tiebreaker application, the Buccaneers and Falcons are both now 3-1
in the division.
Mm-hmm. And so that's a tie. Their head-to-head is a tie. And so the next thing you go to is wins in common games. And I think because the Bucs beat the Titans and Atlanta lost to the Titans, the Bucs have one game better record in common games right now.
Okay.
Now that's number's still going to change. But if the Buccaneers were to win out, they know they have first, because even if Atlanta also wins out, they will have beaten New Orleans, so they're out of the picture. The Bucs will. And then the Bucs will beat New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta, we top Atlanta on that same common games tiebreaker.
Where you want to be, you're in control of your own destiny. You need zero help.
But I also think that's an overwrought phrase that we use. I mean, I wish there was a different way to say it, or just understand that if the Bucs know that if they win out, but they're going to be first. But are you really in control of your own destiny? Because do you really control every time the outcome of a game? Like, wouldn't
So maybe
if the Packers beat us, don't you think they would say we took control? So
that's true. They got the game they needed.
I get tired of that phrase, but it's still
okay. How about if we phrase it this way?
I'm getting salty.
The Buccaneers don't have to rely on anybody else.
That's fine. Well, yeah. I mean, it would be nice if they could rely on those other opponents to stink over the next 4 weeks.
You do not have to scoreboard watch if you take care of business.
Right. And I think Jason here on our staff told me today that he used one of those little playoff odds
Oh
calculators.
yeah.
And that if the Bucs can win their 2 remaining division games
Right.
against New Orleans and Carolina, and win either the Green Bay or the Jacksonville game, that they have a 98% chance of making it.
Yeah, I hate.
You don't like that?
I hate that stuff. I just, it's like watching a game and it's in the fourth quarter and they go, oh, this team has 98% chance of
you
winning.
don't like those
and a
win
guy gets an
probability things.
there's a fumble and he picks up, runs in for a touchdown, and then, oh, they have a 0 chance because the game's over. Well, no kidding. Jeez. I don't know. I understand it's all about, the odds and numbers, and everybody loves it. But, at the end of the day, the game's played by heart.
Well, how about this? If it's all just a matter of how we're wording it in all of these things, because
True.
If somebody said to you, in games that teams that have been in similar situations in previous games, 72% of them won the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're saying.
Well, that's true, but that's like if you...
And then they use the words win probability.
Well, see, Tony Dungy used to always say teams that played on Monday night and then had to play on Sunday, their odds are down too. I can't remember.
Well, I hope that's true since the Packers played last night.
They did.
And lost.
And they did. They did, which I'm trying to decide if I'm happy or excited about.
I know you always have this deal where you think they're going to be more fired up because they just lost.
However, if you look at all the playoff scenarios, the wild card's up for grabs right now because everybody's 6 and 7 right now.
There's 6 and 7 teams, which is nuts.
So everybody's having a podcast right now talking about how they can get into the playoffs.
So the Packers, the Bucs are not listed in that group because they are listed as the leader of the NFC South.
Right.
But then there's 5 other 6 and 7 teams that would vie for the last wild card spot, and the Packers actually have the top spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, due to tiebreak, even after losing last night.
Right, but it'll be what's a good thing is that weather's going to be really nice up there. It's going to be really balmy. Get lucky again.
High of 40.
Yeah,
that's balmy now, is it?
If you're in Wisconsin right now, you're driving with the T-tops off and a T-shirt on. Who are you kidding? They may not see 40 for the next 6 weeks. It was like we got lucky when we went to Buffalo because it rained, of course, but the game day was really very nice. And then a week later, they had a snowstorm. So a lot of people in this building are disappointed because they're not going to see snow. Those are people who have not dealt with it. So I'm just like, hey, get in and get out. Let's go.
It's weird to think that there's people that I know that have never had to try to drive in a snowstorm.
Right.
I remember doing that so many times as a teenager and young adult in St. Louis.
Well, there's two types of people who have not dealt with that. The one who thinks it's going to be really, really awesome. And then the other one thinks that a dusting or 1 inch of snow is going to shut everything down. And you have to explain to them that no, in those places, they don't shut down unless they get about a foot in about 12 hours. Then they might shut down. But other than that, they're plowing. I
remember one period of days in St. Louis one year when I was a kid. My parents were divorced. And at this point, my dad was remarried and also living in St. Louis. And so I would spend some time over there. Went over there one night or one day and for a couple days, and we got hit with a giant snowstorm. And their house was on a cul-de-sac at the bottom of a hill.
Right.
And we literally could not get out. You could walk out.
Yeah.
Through like 2-3 feet of snow, but you couldn't get the cars out.
Yeah.
So you were stuck in the house, and it's just weird to think that people have to deal with that.
When I lived in Binghamton, New York, you would go to bed at night and they would say snow flurries, and you would wake up with a foot of snow flurries on the ground.
That's more than a flurry,
or and it wasn't uncommon for them to shut down, the state emergency where you were only allowed out.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
And then at that time, you could legally drink in New York at 18.
Okay.
And so they shut down the roads, and you couldn't drive your car or anything. That being said, snowmobiles work very, very well.
All right, maybe we should actually talk about this Atlanta game.
What a crazy game.
Tell me something you really liked. Tell me what the favorite thing you saw.
My favorite thing was missed field goals.
That was crazy.
It was like you could not believe that was happening.
You know who you have to thank for that?
Pat O'Connor.
Me.
Why?
Before the first one, I turned to Andrew, who was sitting next to me, and said, "This guy never misses."
Ah.
And then he dunked it off the upright, and Andrew's like, "Nice work, Scott."
Yeah, nice. You
I
did.
forgot to say it before the second one,
Yeah.
but apparently Pat O'Connor says he got a fingertip
He
on it
did.
or something.
That's what I heard. Yes.
So that's cool. Good job, Pat. But yeah, literally, Younghoe Koo had missed one field goal all year, 24 of 25.
Yeah.
And he beat us on a 50-something field goal.
That's what.
in
That's
week 7.
Yeah, that's what warmed my heart. My first thought was, why couldn't you have done that in week 7 and missed? Then my second one was, okay, this is good. This is, you have to take advantage of your opportunities, and they did have those opportunities, and they missed it.
So he had been 3 for 3 from beyond 50 this year, 23 of 28 in his career from beyond 50. Of course, you know who's better than that?
Our guy.
Chase McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Who he goes out there and hits a 55-yarder, and you're seeing him line up for it, and you're like, yeah, he'll probably make this. He'll probably make a 55-yarder. We would have never said that 20 years ago.
The only guy I have to say that's making me wonder is the Dallas Cowboys field goal kicker.
What's up with that guy?
Kicking a 59-yarder and had room to go.
He had a 60-yarder also in that game.
And he never really played football. He played soccer, which I love. He just wasn't really interested in it. And I guess nowadays you got a guy that can kick a 60-yard field goal. You're playing half a field. That changes everything. And they're not afraid to go for it anymore.
The calculus used to be different because, like you just said, they're not afraid to go for it. You mean not afraid to go for it on 4th down? Or not afraid to go for the long field goal?
Not afraid to go for the long field goal.
The punitive value of it is, if that's a 55-yard field goal, that means the ball is snapped to the 45, and that's where the other team will take over if you miss.
Right.
So that's pretty big.
It is.
He's got Chase does 4 field goals of 55 or longer this year, 2 55s and 2 57s. You know how many of those we had? Nobody else, no other kicker in Bucs history has ever had more than 2 field goals of 55 yards or longer in a season. And he's the first one to have 4 in his Buccaneer career.
Wow. Reach over and hit your fan.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Thank you.
So
see how quiet it is now.
I
sorry for
the
first 10 minutes of what is that hum as you're listening to this
podcast. It's the fan I like to play in my office because I like to.
You like to be cool. Here's the difference. Scott has a fan on and is wearing a T-shirt. I have a sweatshirt on, a hoodie.
I was cold in the office yesterday. I'll admit it.
It was cold.
That's why I was wearing that pullover earlier, but I got hot.
And it was cold in Florida this morning.
It was
45.
I wasn't.
43.
It was on Monday morning too, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I was cold all day. And today I was ready.
Wow.
But as the day goes on, I get hot.
Yes.
I was trying to say.
We've only had a couple field goal kickers that were able to kick 55-plus yards.
We've never had one have more than 3 of those in their career as a Buccaneer, and Chase has 4 of them this year. There have been 17 field goals in team history of 55-yard successful ones, 55 yards or longer, and Chase has 4 of them in just 13 games played.
Keep going, my friend.
His only 2. We have to do a lot of knocking on wood here, and I've actually seriously been avoiding talking about this because I didn't want to be a jinx.
Especially,
but it's time to talk about it now.
Well, you can't ignore it.
And he has missed only twice this year, and both were blocked. As I think we've said before, it's impossible to know whose fault that is. Was it going to be hasn't, or did he hit it too low, and that's why it was blocked?
Right.
You don't know, but still, you could conjecture that possibly he hasn't misfired on a kick all season.
Yeah. Yes. So special teams, everyone kind of ignores special teams.
They were big in that game.
That was the difference.
The field goal kick. Now, we did allow some long punt returns, which has been a bit of a problem for us. Sometimes that's because Jake Camarda punts at 8,000 miles.
Yeah, outkicks his coverage.
And so, I think there was one where they had a 15 or 18-yard return, but because he punted it so far, it was still like a 48-yard net, which you'll take every day.
Yeah. You expect that now. That's the problem. You expect perfection.
I do think we sometimes have little coverage breakdowns, though, and I'm concerned that a punt return is coming. I'm also concerned that a punt block is coming because it seems like they've been getting close a lot lately.
Well, hopefully, special teams coaches are looking at it right now, going, maybe we need to fix this.
Yeah.
If you're spotting it, I'm just saying.
Have you noticed?
Yes, there have been some issues.
Luckily,
it hasn't burned them.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple times when if the guy had just committed to it, he probably would have got it, but they're terrified of getting the roughing the kicker penalty. So unless they're absolutely sure, they pull off. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because I think we would have had a couple, and those can be completely game changing.
Yeah, and I think that's what's it's interesting. I don't know how many games this year, but to me, all of a sudden it seems like more games are being decided by special teams play.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if that's real or not. I'm bringing that up to
Other
you.
than long field goals, I don't feel that way because there haven't been a ton of returns.
No, there was one against the Ravens, put one out.
Yeah, they won a game on it.
Yeah.
That'd be a great way to win a game
And
in overtime.
he was just brought up that day. So,
and I read some comments. Apparently, he thought he did poorly earlier in the game. So he was doing his post game interview, and he's like, "I'm really glad that happened because I was playing bad."
Yeah, keep playing bad if you're going to do it.
I think my favorite moment in that game was the 3rd and 10 completion to Chris Godwin.
Oh yeah,
I went down. So I've explained this before, and nobody cares, I'm sure. But near the end of the game, I have to decide whether I'm going to leave my laptop in the press box, go down and get quotes, and come back up and finish.
Yeah.
Or if I think that's going to take too much time because
pack up and go downstairs which I don't know why you don't do that.
Because it's a lot harder to work downstairs.
Oh.
There's no real place for me, so I have to set up like 2 chairs next to each other or something.
Okay.
I'm not good at typing on a laptop actually on my lap. That's the issue. Otherwise, I'd just go straight to the bus.
You're a desktop.
Well, I can use a laptop, but I really like to use a mouse.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's because we're salty dogs.
Yeah, when I have to
we're old.
when I'm trying to do editing and sending stuff on the bus, I don't have a mouse, and I'm working off the laptop.
Yeah.
And it takes me like twice as long to do something, and it's just so frustrating.
But the kids these days don't use laptops.
No.
I mean,
mice.
Mices.
I hate those mices to pieces.
So is that from a cartoon?
Yes, it is. Thank you for remembering.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wasn't it with Tom and Jerry, and it was the cat that would always say, "I hate these mices to pieces."
Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you remember You're a Gazelle?
No.
Oh, it's a cartoon where the mouse is trying to convince the dog that he's various different animals.
Do you remember Pepe Le Pew?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's kind of problematic.
Yeah.
He was basically stalking and trying to assault these cats.
Yeah, when he would go take their arms and go.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
The only reason I always remember You're a Gazelle is because my wife's name is Giselle, and she's heard that said to her.
Oh, and she's not.
She does not like that.
She doesn't find that funny at all.
She does not.
Or she'll go, "Oh, I've never heard that one before."
I showed her the clip of the cartoon because she hadn't heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, God, we are really getting off. We are really getting off course here. So 3rd and 10 play to Chris Godwin. I had gone downstairs in this particular case, and so when I left, I think Atlanta had just scored, and it didn't feel great.
No. Well, that's because we scored, and you're feeling good, and then they just come marching down, and you're thinking, okay, just hold them. And we didn't, and it didn't look pretty. It looked like they were starting to hit on all cylinders again.
Yeah, but Baker had one more shot.
He did,
and they had both coach. Yeah, so it's 3rd and 10. I'm down here in the press conference room now, and there's a TV on, but no sound. And we had a couple incompletions, but then got a defensive holding call that helped, and then we had a couple more incompletions. Right. So it was around midfield. It was 3rd and 10.
I'm thinking
just feeling bad.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2
Well,
down
so was
territory.
Baker, so was Coach apparently, because they were just hoping to get some yards.
Right.
So they decide maybe to kick a long field goal or go for it on 4th, but they got
big
32 yards.
Yeah.
And now you're at the 15. And so the Bucs were losing by 3. I don't know how cautious you need to be with your play calling at that point, because you got to make sure you at least get the 3.
Right. You got to make sure.
But you obviously want to get the 7.
You got a chance to end it all now.
Anyway, both coaches said after the game, both of them confirmed it very clearly.
Both coaches being Todd
Bowles and Arthur
Dave.
Smith.
Arthur Smith,
the Falcons head coach, that the crux of their game plan on defense was to take away Mike Evans. It's not just Todd saying it. Arthur Smith said it too.
Okay.
So they're
basically saying you got to beat us with the run.
That was the first thing. They dared us to win with the run, which the Buccaneers ended up with a season high 148 rushing yards because they stuck with it, because really they only had 38 yards in the first half, and it wasn't going very well. They were averaging like 2-point-something yards per carry. Second half, it got way better, and I could picture in my head almost every carry was like at least 4 or 6 yards, and then every down then it was 12 or 15.
Right.
So it was really good. The second thing that when you have to throw the ball, We tried to hit Mike a few times on that last drive, but mostly we couldn't get him the ball. So somebody else has to step up. Cade had the touchdown, and Chris had 5 catches.
Right.
Now, that was on 11 targets. So I think I would bet if he were in the room right now and we asked him, Baker Mayfield would say that was not his best game of the season.
Yeah.
Even close. It may have been his
most
biggest
exciting
struggle for most of it. But then he makes the final drive, that very nice pass to Chris over a defender. There was only about a yard of separation when he threw the ball, but he got it over that guy right to Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And then the touchdown play, according to Next Gen Stats, only had a 36% chance of being complete, but it was such a good pass, and Cade is reliable when the ball's there.
Yeah,
so.
I was happy.
So anyway, Godwin, a week after, mild controversy erupts because he didn't have any catches in the win over Carolina, although he did score on the touchdown run. And then Todd Bowles said something, it was completely innocent, and Chris acknowledged that when he was talking on Wednesday. He said, Coach had no malice with what he said. But he basically said one of the reasons that Chris didn't have any catches is because he was so banged up, like he was questionable for the game with a neck injury, that he was coming in and out of the game.
Right.
I truly believe that Todd believed that to be true.
Right.
But then you look at the snap counts, and Chris had like 50. He had as many snaps as Mike Evans. He had like 54 or 62 or something. Yeah. So it wasn't meant to be misleading. Coach was just inaccurate for a moment.
Right.
But there caused some friction.
Well,
it all got cleared up.
But here's the thing. It was handled really well.
By Chris in particular.
By Chris, yes. And even his wife, Myra, she explained what her frustration was.
Is it Myra or Mariah?
Mariah.
Yeah.
And
those two are very much
in sync with each other.
Yeah, they're a very close couple who kind of consider they work together on everything.
Right.
It's a really great relationship.
It is. And if you're fortunate enough to have met them, they're really very, very down to earth, just quality people. Period.
I think they had a community event at the zoo today.
I believe they did. So in fairness, she was a little frustrated, and you know what? She was speaking up for her man, but it's a learning lesson for everybody, because once you put something on social media, no matter how you meant it, it gets its own legs. And once that happens, you're just like, oh, great. That's that, but Chris, the next day,
I don't think anybody here had any problems with anything that Mariah or Chris said. No. But on Twitter, there's always Twitter trolls.
Oh,
there's always Twitter trolls.
Look,
present company excluded. Anybody listening?
It is. That's just the world right now.
It's just going to happen.
It's the world that, hey, whatever. It's blue. No, it's not.
That's why I don't. That's why I don't go off topic on Twitter ever. Right. All I use Twitter for is trying to give information to fans.
Yes, you do. You do.
I don't talk about my life.
No. But interesting enough, your tweet was part of her.
I know.
And that's when I saw
because I tweeted what Coach said.
Correct.
And when I did so, I was just taking him at his word. Yeah. Then I got up later and looked at the snap counts. I'm like, well, that he misspoke on that one. But I didn't realize it was going to become an issue.
No. But when I saw hers, I saw yours, and I went, oh boy! And all I saw was your name, so I wanted to read it real quick.
I didn't do anything wrong.
What did he do?
I just reported what was said.
Yeah, but interesting enough, that all happens, right? And then you go to Atlanta, and the head coach of the Falcons say, "We're going to take Mike Evans out." So now Chris is getting the ball. Well, of course, everybody's now feeling like, well, this is what
it was a legitimate concern that you would force the ball at Chris and put it in ball in harm's way, but that's not what happened.
No, he was there to make the play.
Yeah, and he ended up leading the team with 5 catches for 53 yards, and he made the huge play that we had to have.
And Mike was happy with where he was at.
Well, he's already over 1,000. So.
Right, but you know what? If you are a wide receiver or a running back, or a tight end, and you're not complaining that you're not getting the ball internally, I'm not saying outwardly, but somewhere
you want the ball.
Somewhere down the line, you go, come on, throw me it, And
do you think O'Keefe wants the ball?
I think he does. Yes,
he got the ball thrown to him once in that game.
Yeah, and Cade wants it. I think all of them want it. I thought it was a balanced attack.
It was a struggle. Let's not sugarcoat it. We only had 85 yards in the first half. It was better in the second half. The run game got going.
That's what I'm talking about there.
And
The old line did a really nice job.
And Carlton.
Oh, wow, what a jump that was. Wow.
Carlton gave us a very short field for one touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
We got a safety.
Antoine knocking the ball out.
So we only had 85 yards of offense in the first half, but we were winning 12-10.
Yep.
And then we had one good drive in the third quarter to make it 19-10.
Mm-hmm.
The defense was really good in the third quarter because Atlanta kept getting the ball in good territory,
Right.
and they kept getting third down stops, and Atlanta punted on four straight drives.
How many touchdowns were in the second half between both teams? 5 or 4?
Well, both teams had 3, right?
In the second half?
Both teams had 3 total.
Okay.
So that's 6, and each team had 1 in the first half, so there were 4 in the second half.
Okay.
So there was the Baker Mayfield ran one in.
Yep.
After the
which was
Carlton
a great fake because where we were sitting, we couldn't tell who. We
really?
knew because
it was his own read.
And he looked like he handed it off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good because we hadn't done that once all season,
Right?
And we have been just handing it off in that situation every
Right.
time. So every now and then, that's what I said last week. Dave Canales, after the Bucs putting a lot on film tape throughout the season, is starting to do some even more creative wrinkles that are playing off of what our opponents should expect based on what we've done so far.
Right. And that's and it's coming at a really great time. Just saying.
Yeah. No, but anyway, but let's not sugarcoat it. That was a struggle offensively for most of the day.
But
Baker didn't have his best day.
But you did what you needed to do to win.
Yeah, I just don't. There are obviously Baker detractors out there.
Oh, no
If
question.
you look at Twitter, you see people arguing. You see people arguing, and plenty of them saying, "Hey, he's doing just fine," and others are like, "He's the reason we're losing." Which that's the part I don't agree with.
I got nothing on that one because that is you are so far off if you're thinking Baker Mayfield's the reason why you're not winning.
I agree, but there are people. I was reading them, and I saw a Rick Stroud tweet about it, so I started reading what he was responding to, and it was basically a guy saying, "You guys are crazy for keep saying good things about Baker. He's the reason we're losing." Right. So there are people out there that think that. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah,
and Baker Mayfield,
they'll make you right.
Baker Mayfield is not the league MVP. He hasn't played like Josh Allen or Brock Purdy but he's been good. Do you think? I'll tell you what I think after I ask you. Do you think that the national coverage on Jordan Love, the Packers quarterback who's in his first season as a starter, trying to replace Aaron Rodgers, who replaced Brett Favre, how do you feel like they've judged his season to be?
Well, they think he's the next. He's coming on. He started out a little shaky, but now he's got it together and he's playing well until last night.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say.
And that's usually that's the narrative that what a great move. Packers only have had 3 quarterbacks in 30 years.
Okay, but just on the most basic level, you and I both think that the treatment of Jordan Love has been good.
Sure.
It's been the base, and I agree that the main storyline has been, he was a little shaky at first, but you know what? He looks pretty good. He looks very promising, and he's proving that he should get a chance to be the long-term starter.
No question.
Okay, let me read you some numbers.
Okay.
Quarterback A has thrown for 2,934 yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and an 89.7 passer rating.
That's pretty good.
Quarterback B has thrown for 3,084 yards, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and an 89.0 passer rating. Who are those 2 quarterbacks?
I'm going with B as Baker.
Actually, A was Baker. B was Love. But my point is they're practically identical.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. 2,934 to 3,084 yards. That's a difference of 150 yards.
Right. I was looking more at I probably shouldn't have said that because of the touchdowns.
A 20-8 TD to INT ratio for Baker, 23-11 for Love. 89.7 passer rating for Baker, 89.0 for Love.
Yeah, that's pretty equal because you lose points for interceptions.
They're basically the same numbers, and yet the narrative on Love is, wow, this is the QB of the future, and the narrative on Baker is...
That's because Baker was the new shiny penny a number of years ago, and he's not anymore.
Love, right?
Right, and now it's you, and it's also the Packers, which they get a lot of love for whatever, and it's a big storyline because of, they lose their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers leaves, and everyone thinks that there's nothing going to happen for the Packers this year, or they thought great things were going to happen for the Packers this year. And as we said previously, Jordan Love started out slow, came on pretty strong, but I still think, there's not issues. It takes a while. He hasn't been a starter.
Yeah, he spent 3 years not being a starter.
And that seems to be the Packers' narrative it's worked out very well for them.
Has.
So
I kind of like Jordan Love. So in one hand, I want him to succeed, not this week. But on the other hand, how can a team if he ends up being like a 10-year starter after they had a Favre and Rodgers for 30 years? It doesn't seem fair.
No.
Let me ask you this. We're going to face Jordan Love this weekend.
We are.
It's not Aaron Rodgers. It's not Brett Favre. How many times from 1993 through last year did the Bucs play any other starting quarterback for the Packers?
Since 93?
From 93 through so that's a total of 30 seasons. How many times did the Bucs face the Packers with a starting quarterback other than Favre or Rodgers?
I don't think they have.
One time.
Oh.
In 2017, Rodgers was hurt and we played against Brett Hundley.
Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hundley.
Did we win that game?
No.
Wow. That's not good.
Yeah, were we good in 2017? Not really.
No. But still. Okay, that's interesting.
I think I stood up too fast.
You did. You're getting a little dizzy there.
I felt a little dizzy.
You're weaving.
Sometimes I stand up in the middle of the podcast.
Yes, we know.
Whatever.
What? No.
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 I don't want to promise something. I'll tell
Go
you.
ahead.
I'll tell you later what I was going to say and why I didn't.
What?
Never mind.
God, inquiring minds want to know.
I will say something I forgot to say. We were talking about Mike Evans, and he only had one catch for 8 yards in this game because they made a point of taking him away.
Uh-huh.
The previous week, as we all know, and we've already talked about, he had a huge game and got over 1,000 yards. All those records. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like if fans, and there was a lot, everybody that emailed us last week was about Mike Evans.
Sure.
So if you're interested in Mike Evans content, keep an eye on the website in the days to come because pretty soon we're going to we did an interview with Mike where he had a Surface tablet and he watched all 10 receptions that got him over 1,000 yards each year and talked about them. And it was really entertaining.
Yes.
So keep an eye out for that. I wrote a piece for it.
When's it getting?
It's probably within the next day or two.
Okay. That'll be good. Looking forward to that.
Look for it on Buccaneers.com. Other platforms too, but I'll have a story up and it'll also be embedded in the story.
All right.
So that'll be fun.
Good.
So Antoine Winfield Jr.
Wow.
Does he make a giant play every single week?
Yes, but you can't play center field and let the ball come to you. You got to go to the ball.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
He didn't jump.
And tomorrow when I go see him in the locker room, I told you this, right?
No.
A few games ago, he had an opportunity for an interception, and I spoke about it on the podcast. Like, I wonder if he laid in bed that night and went. So I actually saw him, and I did, and he laughed and he explained the whole thing to me, and I went, okay. And so I said, well, then you're ready for the next one. He goes, yep. So he gets a pick against the Panthers, and I saw him in the locker room. I went, hey. Not to say that I'm taking credit on this, but we talked and he started laughing. He goes, no, I like this. This is good. So, okay, fine. Well, he has an opportunity. He gets a pick.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's called back because of a penalty.
Like on the other side of the field.
Right. But it was a legit penalty. Can't put hands to the face. Can't have that.
I know. It just stinks for Antoine.
I know.
Yeah, Levante tipped it.
Right. And then later on in the game, it looked like there's going to be this great interception. He looked like he was playing center field. So I'm going to have a little talk with him. But
well, as Coach Bowles said, he didn't jump, so he waited for it and he.
Well, London that was a pretty remarkable catch.
It was a remarkable catch, and London has a lot of size on Antoine. So even if Antoine had jumped, London still might have caught it over.
But you kind of felt like it was your big brother. You're the little brother. You're standing there. Here comes the ball. You're waiting for the ball, and big brother steps in and just scoops it away from you. That was it. And
it's like Kelly Leak and Bad News Bears.
Yeah.
Running in front of the other outfielders and catching the ball. But that wasn't great. But Winfield did have yet another great blitz.
Unreal.
He's got 4 sacks now.
I know.
This is a wild stat. So he's got 4 sacks, three or four forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries.
Uh-huh.
He's the first defensive back to have all those things in a season since 2002.
I know, crazy.
If this guy, we're going to talk about this every week. If this
Well,
guy is not an All-Pro, first-team All-Pro,
and you said he should be before the season even started.
Yeah. Well, I'll resurface that article
Yeah.
if and when it happens. I think Jesse Bates is a lock for one of them.
Yeah.
Because he gets the picks and the voters love picks.
Everybody loves picks.
But Antoine does everything.
He does.
And in this game, he basically forced a safety. Patrick O'Connor gets the points because Antoine stripped the ball out of Ritter's hand.
Yep.
And then their fullback, Keith Smith, picked it up. But before he could go anywhere, O'Connor tackled him. So technically it was O'Connor who got the safety.
So close to a touchdown in there.
The ball was bouncing around.
It was like, whoa.
That would have been nice.
But
But a safety's fun too.
It is.
First one we've had in 3 years.
Right. And you can't say enough about Antoine. You just can't.
Yeah, you can't.
So it's pretty impressive.
This is the 48th season of Buccaneer football.
Mm-hmm.
48 seasons, probably, 600, 700 games, something?
Something like that.
How many safeties have the Bucs had?
I think they only had like 3.
You think we've only had 3 safeties in the entire history of the team?
Yeah. How many?
I thought you were going to guess way too high.
No, how many?
14.
Really? Must have been early in the... I can't remember the last one.
I just told you it was 3 years ago in 2020.
Where was the one
Shaq
after?
Barrett in Denver.
When was the one after that?
I don't know.
Okay. I guess they're not memorable.
9 different players, 9 different Bucs have a safety, because the other 5 were team. Tribute team, because if the ball rolls out of the end zone, it's team.
Team gets it.
Nobody else. Something that only happens once every
3 years,
3 or 4 years. You gotta celebrate that.
Yeah, though it's
there were 6 fumbles in that game, and none of them were recovered by the other team.
I know. How crazy is that?
I wish there were, because 4 of the 6 were by them. Although one of them would have lost the game for us because Rashad fumbled on that 4th and 1 carry, but got it back.
Right.
Probably.
Yes. It keeps it exciting, Like I said, you.
I wonder. There was a play where I think there was a tight end, Michael Pruitt, fumbled, and Levante was tackling him. Zion McCollum got credit for the forced fumble.
Right.
And for a moment, Levante's lying on his back with the ball in his hands, and the tight end is on top of him.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe it was Yaya came running in and tried to, he's thinking loose ball and tried to grab it and end up knocking it out of bounds.
Yeah.
But wasn't Levante down and in possession of the ball?
I don't know if they called him in possession because it was over.
Didn't have it yet?
Yeah, they didn't have it yet. Yeah.
I thought I saw one shot where his hands were above his head and he was holding onto the ball.
Yeah, it is.
We wouldn't have won it on a challenge.
No.
They got the challenge on Mike Wright too, unfortunately.
They did.
That was a bummer.
Yeah, but
Andrew, I talked about Andrew in communication sitting next to me on that play. He saw Mike open in the back of the end zone really early because he was like, throw it to Mike, throw it to Mike, throw it to Mike. But Baker had to get out because he was scrambling out. And I think he had to get it over one. He had to freeze one. He had to make sure one corner wasn't dropping, he said. So by the time he threw it, it became an acrobatic play.
Yeah.
It would have been easy touchdown if he threw it 1 second earlier.
Right. And the other side of the coin, if you're saying, well, why did Mike put his hand down? In your, you got to.
Oh, you don't not when you're falling.
I'm just saying this is, because you look at it and you go, oh, if he just kept both hands there and just plowed into the turf,
Show me somebody who does that.
I know.
Your face is headed to the ground. You're putting your hand out. You don't even think about it.
I made a comment to Dave about that, and he goes, no, that hurts. Which is, you do that. That just hurts. But it was a phenomenal placement of his feet to get his feet down.
Yeah.
Because his feet were in. It was
he dragged that second time.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. So you got to love that.
Speaking of Levante, it was so great to have him back.
It was wonderful to have him back, and he didn't look like he was suffering at all. Now it'll be, fun to not fun. It'll be good to see him in the locker room tomorrow, Thursday, and see how he feels because like any other sports injury, kind of like your shoulder after the couch incident.
Oh, be quiet.
It's a few days later that it hurts more than it does when it
Do we
first
have to
happens.
refer to it as a couch incident?
Well, what would you call it? The dog incident? Okay, we'll call
shoulder.
We'll call it the dog incident.
Okay, so I guess this is like father like son because last night my son Alex was playing pickup basketball at Georgia Tech and he hurt his shoulder on he got knocked into some big crate or something. But he thought it was dislocated originally.
Right.
And then somebody he knew who had some
knowledge,
expertise in this area,
Googled,
checked him out, and said it didn't seem dislocated, but he might have a torn rotator cuff.
Great,
which would actually be worse because that's his left arm and he's a left-handed pitcher on their club baseball team.
Oh no.
So that would have been bad for him. But he went to the doctor today, and it's just something like a bad bruise and a collection of blood.
Yeah, it's an owie.
He has to take some medicine, but he should be okay.
Okay.
So that's what I should have said, that I hurt myself playing basketball.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have to be honest about it.
No, you were very forthcoming about it. That's why I was laughing so much.
If you didn't listen last week, I think I partially dislocated my shoulder getting off the couch.
Yeah.
Because the dog was there. And
That's a classic. Yeah, blame the dog.
Put my hand down.
Yep.
All right. Here's another thing.
All right.
9 points, basically, because the Falcons had 2 one-play drives on offense that were started inside their own 10. There was the interception by Carlton and the safety, which Winfield caused. Both of those were on first down.
Quit clicking your pen.
Okay, Dad. Both of those were on first down, the first play of the drive that started inside the 10. And you know what that means?
We're good.
Good special teams.
Oh.
Because we're down in the ball inside the 10. Yep. That's good special teams. That's why coaches are always saying that, talking about complementary football and either offense, defense working together.
Yep.
The D line and the secondary working together. Complementary football can apply to special teams too, because you don't think about the fact you remember that Carlton Davis got a pick that led to a touchdown. And you remember that Antoine Winfield got a strip sack that led to a safety.
But you don't know why.
You don't remember that it was because of a great punt or great coverage or whatever that put the ball down at like
the
8-yard line.
It's the old flip the field.
I'm going to have to put this pen down because I can't not click it if I'm doing it.
But you have to understand, people who are listening going, what is that?
Well, it's a mystery for them.
No, it's called irritating because it was irritating me.
Yeah, well, you're easily irritated by noises.
This is true.
All right, here's another thing.
Easily distracted by noises also.
Tiny penny.
Yes.
In the last 2 games, our opponents, the Panthers and the Falcons, have had 9 third downs on which they needed either 1, 2, or 3 yards.
Right.
They only converted 1 of those.
Right. But what is their conversion rate when they're third down and plus 10 yards? Always seems.
You think I don't know this?
No, I know you do. That's why I'm asking it. To me, it always seems like, we got them right where we want them. And then that big third down play,
So are you saying over 10 yards?
Yeah, what's over 10
yards? You know
how
many times that an opponent has converted a third down of over 10 yards against us this year?
How many?
4.
Okay.
So it's not happening as often as you think.
Okay, how about
4 out of 30?
How about 5 yards?
I have between 4 and 6, and their conversion rate in that range is 41.3.
Okay.
But it's been a lot better of late. Last 3 games in that regard, 4 games: 0-3, 0-2, 1-3, 2-8. So we're the only team that has held 6 straight opponents to below 40% conversion rate on third downs.
Nice.
Not saying in any way that wasn't a gigantic problem earlier in the year. And there's some plays that remember that were long, and that's why we feel that way. But they've essentially fixed that problem. There have been 7 of those over 10 yards in the last 2 games, and none of them have been converted.
That Atlanta game kind of reminded me of the first game of the season against Minnesota. No turnovers, nip and tuck.
1 turnover.
Did Minnesota had 1 turnover?
No, we had 1 turnover. You mean we didn't turn the ball over?
Yeah, we didn't turn the ball over.
Nip and tuck.
Yeah, where you're just kind of battling back and forth which way this is going to go, and then make it happen. Yes, very solid. I'm
looking at my phone. Should you act like
why?
At me?
Why? What do you got?
Giselle's asking me if I want dinner tonight.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
What do we ask her? I want to know what we're having.
Okay. This is a good podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, it just goes to show that a lot's going on, that I am not on the phone, Peg.
I don't think you've been on the phone the entire time.
I haven't, because it hasn't blown up.
If you did, you've been doing it very surreptitiously.
No. Nothing's happening. It's been kind of quiet, which is a good thing. That's kind of, I just got something. Okay, that's good. That's the difference between a Victory Monday, which was great to have again. I like coming in on Victory Monday. Everybody's in a good mood. Players come in, get their treatment, then they go ahead and move on out. Quick little meeting, and off they go. So I would totally enjoy the next 4 weeks of Victory Mondays. Not that I want a lot, and I'm really asking a lot, and I'll say this next week, but I'm just saying I want a Christmas gift of a win against Jacksonville. So I'm not expecting much, but
That's your Christmas wish?
yes, that is my Christmas wish.
All right. Cade Otton
Great catch.
played all but 2 snaps in that game,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing that every single week. Oh, here's
Yep.
Savannah with my weekly, and she's got
Yep.
the idea now of sticking
Yep.
it under the door.
Yep.
We've got her trained
She
well.
waved and put mine in my office. I like it.
He has played 97.2% of the Bucs' offensive snaps this year.
Really?
No other tight end in the entire league is over 90%. Next on the list is George Kittle at like 89.1%.
How many catches does George Kittle have compared to?
Probably more.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying Cade Otton's one of the most productive tight ends in the league in terms of receptions. He's given us a good number, but
Yep.
he's not outrageous or anything.
He's doing his responsibilities.
He just, as coach says, every time he's asked about it, he does everything right. He runs the route the way he's supposed to. Every little thing that he's supposed to do, he does it right every time. And so when it comes to, on that play, for instance, Baker knew he would be there.
Yep.
And they were doubling Mike.
Yeah.
I watched the play earlier today. They had their best corner on top of Mike, and they had the safety, Jesse Bates, their best safety, behind him. And as soon as Mike ran his little shallow slant, Bates came down towards him.
Basically, you're saying he's not taking any plays off.
Cade isn't. He
Right.
can't. They won't take him out of the game. But I
Right.
talked to him in the locker room once after he'd played every game, every snap of the
Did
game.
he say, I'm tired?
No, it was on Wednesday.
Oh.
But he's like, well, I like that. I want to be out there. I want to play.
That,
I like playing every snap.
that was funny. We were talking about going to Green Bay in cold weather, and Dave Morse said that the part about he liked about playing in Green Bay, the good part was he was playing tight end, but he was also playing special teams. So he was pretty much running around the whole time. So
Kept
he was
himself
warm.
warm.
Yeah. That's, which is, when you think about it in those terms, I like it. You know?
So anyway, Cade Otton, I looked it up, like no Bucs tight end since they've been tracking this has been anywhere near that amount of usage. I think take Rob Gronkowski.
Right.
He did everything great, right? Great blocker.
Yeah.
He never played more than 75% in either of his 2 years. Played more than 75%
Wow.
of the Bucs' offensive snaps.
But he just always felt like he was out there.
Well, you would want him on the field as much as possible, right? So even, of course, that was pretty long in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And he even retired once by then. So
Right.
maybe making him play every snap wasn't a great idea. But 97.2% is amazing
It is crazy.
compared to every other tight end in the league.
That's what it is when you're young. Just say.
He's like, I like that. I want to be out there.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like playing football.
he's a really nice. I guess we can call him a kid. He's just a really good guy.
He is a good dude.
Yeah. What else you got on that notepad?
Well, I would say Chase Edmonds really made the most of his opportunities in that game.
I would say I think Chase is healthy. Yes.
He had 12 snaps on offense and had 8 touches
Yeah.
for 48 yards,
Mhm.
58 yards maybe.
I say that's pretty good.
12 plays and you touch the ball 8 times
Yeah.
and actually produce well. And then he also had exactly 12 snaps on special teams and made 2 solo kick coverage tackles. So
And one was huge.
was it? I don't remember.
Yes. Yes.
What
Because
was
I
it?
remember having to say who it was.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember when.
It
but
stopped it from being a really big play.
Yeah, because I remember, who made,
Mhm.
I remember having to know who it was.
Okay.
Because so much is happening.
So 12 snaps on offense and 8 touches, 12 snaps on special teams and 2 tackles. That's really making the most of your playing time right there.
That's great.
Of course, Rashad was doing so well, we didn't need him to come off very
Yeah,
often.
I'm really happy for the O-line and the running game. You can see them coming together. Hainsey,
Cody Mauk is
got
apparently
Cody
steadily getting better. He's playing well now.
Yep.
It was a struggle early, but as you would expect.
Well,
from,
he's a rookie.
he's
I mean, yeah.
not only a rookie, but he came from what, North Dakota
Yeah,
State, and
right.
he was a left tackle in college.
But he's understanding where he goes, where he's supposed to put his hands and all of that. And then, Gedeke is getting better.
well, Gedeke's been pretty good all year.
Yeah, but I mean, you get all that combination going with Hainsey and
Cohesive.
very much so.
So you got that, and then you've got, as we talked about last week, Dave Canales saying that Rashad White is being more disciplined.
Yep.
With his decisions of where to go.
Yeah, he's not dancing as much as he was.
So he's being more decisive. As
Yeah,
well.
it's kind of like I'm supposed to go here. The hole might not be there, but here I come, and then the hole's there. The way the play's
just like
designed.
they drew it up.
But I will say you get him in open space, and holy smokes, is he fast?
Yeah, he's fast. Yeah, that's for sure. Like on that screen,
Yeah,
yeah, just
39
kind
yarder.
of
Yeah.
31.
Okay.
He just kind of sliced through the whole defense.
Mhm.
That was fun.
I didn't see that coming at all.
It was on 3rd and 10.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't see him going for a touchdown there. I didn't.
I think the reason
in the back of my mind, I mean, even in the front of my mind, I was not going.
In the
Oh,
front of my mind.
here's the touchdown play.
I think the reason that that screen worked so well is because it was a very long developing screen. You know what I'm saying? Like he snuck out there to the left, but Baker spent quite a while looking downfield like he was going to throw it somewhere else.
Right.
And so that I think that makes sense on a screen pass because you want to get the defenders down the field.
Right.
So they got pretty far down the field, a lot of them did. And by the time Baker turned and threw to Rashad, a lot of the defenders were downfield, and then he had some good blocking, and he just found a seam. To me, that's what made that play work, how long it took for Baker to finally turn. And it was clearly a design play. It wasn't an outlet pass.
Yeah.
It was a design screen pass. But it was designed, or at least he was allowed to wait a long time. Maybe there was good protection. You know what I'm saying? So I that was a great play, obviously. Duh.
Well, you're gonna need that. I think they've been talking about developing the running plays or developing the running game, and Dave Canales has said that it takes a number of games to get into it before it starts to mesh, and it looks like it's starting to.
Well, yeah. So against Indy in Week 12, we had the Bucs offense produce a season high 125 rushing yards. The next week, it topped that against Carolina with 128, and now in Atlanta, topped it again at 148. One of those games happens, and then you go back to getting 50 or 60 yards. It's a fluke.
Yeah.
Do it 3 times in a row.
You're starting,
and something's starting to click.
Correct.
Right.
So that's what you got to start doing. I mean, I don't know. I get not frustrated, but we get the ball like in our first possession, and you're moving, you think, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to, we're moving. Oh yeah. Okay. We're finally get our first touchdown on the first possession. And then it's not going to go down that road. So I'm hoping that we get to that point, because it would sure be nice to score first and, make it happen and put a little pressure, make people make mistakes, that type of stuff.
We did score first. It was just only a field goal.
Right. And with their field goal kicker, if he keeps kicking like he did, he may be a cook. But I'm saying that
he's good. Don't worry about him.
You're going, okay, this is they're going to tie this pretty quickly, and they did.
Yeah.
So,
but we held them inside the 10.
Yeah. That we do a lot of that bend don't break defense. They get down, and then they just get to the red zone, and
we bent all the way to the 3-yard line on the very last drive.
Yeah, how did that make you nervous?
Of course, it made me nervous. Holy moly! I watched the Iron Bowl a few weeks ago. Did you see any of that game?
Yeah, I was like, as soon as I saw it, just make the tackle, and no flag. Yeah, but what's weird though is, what was it? 31 seconds left on the clock. I was going, oh, please, not Houston again. Not again. If this is going to rip my heart out, if this happens,
that would have been disastrous.
Right. And when the game was over with, my initial thought was, damn, why didn't they do that against Houston? That win right now, that would have been huge. But got to continue.
So I don't mean to keep bringing up my son, but he was at that game. I got him and his girlfriend tickets.
Oh, nice.
Field passes.
Well, yeah, you got to go have dinner with your son. That was
so
nice.
He said he told me later he's at the game. There was a decent number of Bucs fans in the stands, and there was a guy in the seat next to him was a Bucs fan, and he complained the entire game whenever we ran the ball.
Really?
Yeah. Why are they running the ball again? And I've seen fans do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can understand, because the run game's doing nothing at all. But I'm like, it was working,
Yeah, but I think maybe his frustration was we were running the ball every first down.
But it was working in the second half, at least.
Right, but I mean, in the beginning,
it was every.
I want to say, I don't have the play sheet in front of me, but I would say it was pretty consistent. I think it was late in the game.
Well, again, they were daring us to run the ball.
Yes.
They were putting 7 in the box, and
I think that's the part of football that people overlook, is what is the defense giving you, and you think that's coach speak, but then you begin to understand the game, and you have to take what they give you, or you're just not going to go anywhere. What do you look? You counting? What does it say? What does it say?
So far, in the first half, we ran the ball on the first down.
But
On the first,
yeah,
gosh,
first down.
no, I didn't get this right. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay, here I'll go down them.
All right,
Run. These are first downs.
Yep.
Run.
That's 3.
Pass.
Okay.
Run.
4 out of 5. 4.
Run.
Yeah.
Run.
Okay, that's 1 out of 9. Passing 1 out of 9.
That was the first half.
Yep.
Second half, pass.
Okay.
This was technically, I don't know if this counts as, it was the play where the high snap. And I don't know if that was going to be a run or a pass.
Yeah.
But it ended up being Rashad running with it.
Right. That was that was a little scary.
That was very scary.
It was very scary.
Run.
So
run.
Yeah. So
run.
2 out of 15 times.
I mean, sometimes these things are.
But it's like you said. That's what Atlanta was saying. You're going to have to run the ball.
And we did so well. We did it well in the second half. Okay, run. Just going to finish this.
Okay.
Run. Pass. Run. Pass.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah, it's a hard go.
Pass.
There you go.
Run. That was the last drive.
Right.
So sometimes I've talked about before, people have what's called confirmation bias, and they tend to notice evidence that supports the theory they already have, and ignore or don't notice evidence that goes against their theory.
Correct.
In this case, if you felt like we were running the ball on first down every time, we actually were.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I felt that,
but it was working in the second half. Any coach, if you
I'm not, and don't get me wrong, I'm not the play caller. I'm not saying, but you just brought up a guy saying, oh, why are they running the ball? That might be the reason why. Even though, as you brought up, they were having success with it.
We ran the ball 5 times on the last drive when there's only 3 minutes left and you're trying to get it down the field. Even then, we ran the ball 5 times. It worked 4 of the 5 times.
Right.
And think about that. Rewind that game now, and if we had not run the ball those 5 times, we would have scored with a lot more than 31 seconds left on the clock. They only needed about 5 more seconds to be able to get off one more pass from the 3-yard line.
I'm sure there were people once the Bucs scored said, "Oh, you left too much time on the clock," which is no, you just got to score. But
we left less time on the clock than we would have if we had not been willing to still run the ball.
Yeah, and the beauty of it was they could afford to do that because all they needed was a field goal.
Yeah, and Baker said afterwards, he's like, it wasn't really a 2-minute drill because we weren't in that big of a hurry because we had they had like 3 minutes and 23 seconds when they got the ball.
Right.
So you didn't have
all their time.
You could still run. Oh, did we have all our timeouts?
No, but Houston had all their timeouts plus the 2-minute warning.
That I don't know why it matters what Houston had since we were.
Oh, I'm sorry, Atlanta. But Houston had their timeouts too.
I thought they didn't have their timeouts in that game.
I'm kidding you.
Okay.
All right.
I lost my train of thought.
I do that very well.
Okay, here's another one. Is there anything more fun than doing the safety signal to the referee? Did you see how many guys down there on the field were doing the safety signal over there? I did it in the press box.
I thought it was I Dream a Genie.
There's another
for
reference.
Those of you who would remember that.
There's another reference most of our listeners aren't going to get.
No, if you watch, what is it? They run all the old shows.
Nickelodeon?
But it's Land of something, whatever. I don't know. There's one.
I don't like old TV, so I don't watch it.
Yeah, okay. But everybody has to remember.
I've never seen a single episode of I Love Lucy.
What?
Not one. I mean, I've seen the little clip of her stomping on grapes. I know there was that one episode.
You've never seen I Love Lucy?
I don't like really old TV shows. I don't like old movies either.
Lucy, I'm home.
Yeah, I've heard it.
No.
Desi Arnaz, right?
Oh, Lucy.
This is good podcasting.
Right
my
goodness. Oh, Scott Smith.
I'm not going to go back.
But I will say this. Okay, I'll just say it. It is an interesting. How about this? It could be a belly dancer because belly dancers put their hands over their heads.
Sure. I got the reference. It was fine.
All right.
It was fine.
All right.
And then I'm getting all this flack for not watching I Love Lucy.
Well, write in and they're going to say the same thing.
Email us if you think there's some old TV shows or movies that you think we should watch.
Right.
I know I need to watch Casablanca. I've got to notch that off.
You've never seen that?
No, and it's my dad's favorite movie, so I really need to see it.
You better round up the.
I know they say Here's looking at you, kid, right?
Yeah, something like that. Well, we always have Paris.
We always have Paris.
Yeah.
It's got
You
like
know.
3 really famous quotes in it, right?
Yes. What is it? Round up the
Usual Suspects?
yes, the usual suspects. Yeah, that's
Which, by the way, is also a good movie. The Usual Suspects.
You
Haven't
know
seen
what's
that?
crazy about this, and you weren't there. We were talking about that movie
Really?
at lunch today.
Today?
Yes, and I did not see it because we were joking about the New York Giants quarterback.
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito's agent. And we looked at it and we were kidding around about Tommy DeVito, Danny's brother. They were doing 300 cutlets for free in the parking lot. Typical New York thing, which is, it's a lot of fun. New Yorkers, original New Yorkers are characters. I said like they got a Tiny over there and, 2-time Tommy. You know what I mean? I mean, all of I'm just saying that they always have these great nicknames. So we were discussing, and we saw Tommy's agent, and it looked like he belonged in Martin Scorsese's movie. Scorsese's.
Usual Suspects is a Scorsese movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I didn't think so.
But I said Casino. No, I hadn't seen Casino. And then we were talking about, and I made a comment, I had met Robert De Niro, and then we got into that discussion. Okay, so then we get to there, and they go, and then they brought up The Usual Suspect.
Why?
Because we're talking about mob movies and how good they were.
I
And
don't think that's a mob movie.
well, the kids kind of said it was. And I said, no, I have not seen that. And it was like a 1995 movie.
Yeah,
So I'm going to be looking for it.
starring Kevin Spacey, so that part
Yeah,
hasn't
well,
aged well. But
I met him too.
did you?
Yes, I met him at the premiere of Analyze This 2. Robert De Niro.
He was in that?
Yes, Kevin Spacey was, yes. Yeah.
Was it Analyze That? Wasn't the first one called Analyze This and the second one
Oh,
called
yeah.
Analyze
Okay.
That?
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Analyze
Billy
That.
Crystal?
Yeah, Billy Crystal. He was there. It was it was kind of a cool thing. I was working at the radio WQYK here in Tampa, and they were doing a premiere for the military people at MacDill Air Force Base. And so they were showing the movie in a hangar with all the service people, and we were invited to go. And then they had a special reception in the beginning, and that's where I got to meet those guys. Robert De Niro is one of my favorite. I'm not a big actor person, but I really, and all the characters that he's played, he is such a quiet man,
Really?
very unassuming, very like, yay, but yeah.
He probably just didn't want to talk to you.
Well, there's that too. And then Kevin was outside, like hanging outside the hangar, smoking a cigarette the whole time.
I don't think that The Usual Suspects is a mob movie because it's not about the mob. It's not
Right.
about what you
Well,
would think of as the mob. It
maybe-
is some kind of crime organization.
Kind of like a New Yorker though type thing. Is that?
I
Would
don't
you
know.
say
Well,
that?
It's not the first thing I think of.
Okay, because that's kind of where they went with it.
It's a great movie, though.
But it's funny that I never heard of. I don't
Have you
know
ever
why.
heard of Kaiser Soze?
Yes.
Well, that's a main character.
Okay, but it was just funny how it cropped up, and then you bring it up.
That is weird that would happen.
And you weren't even there.
I was not there.
No,
You ate later than I did today.
I did. I had a lot. I had to do coach.
Oh, don't make it sound like you're busy.
I am. Tuesdays are our busy day, but they're fun days because it's a remote day.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got? I'm sorry, we got on a tangent there.
I don't got much left, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, we can do questions.
I will say that I'm probably going to a supper club on Saturday.
Yes, I know, and I was also included in that.
You
Was
were
very
invited.
excited. Yes, yes. It's funny. Last week, I got to see a good friend of ours in Atlanta, and you were seeing your son, so you didn't come with us. And then in Green Bay. But I have a childhood friend that lives in Neenah, just outside of Appleton, the suburb of Appleton, and I'm going to hook up with them for a few hours. So-
Apparently, a supper club is defined as a traditional dining establishment that also functions as a social club.
Uh-huh.
The term may describe different establishments depending on the region, but in general, supper clubs tend to present themselves as having a high-class image,
You do?
even if the price is affordable to all.
Yes. Yes. You're not
I
going
don't
to.
know about that.
Yeah.
I went to one a few years ago in Green Bay, and
Yeah.
don't know if I call that high class.
Well, it might be high class.
This might be the one. There's a picture here in this Wikipedia article, and I think it's the one I went to.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
Village Bar Supper Club in Wisconsin.
Ah.
It looks familiar, and it's in Wisconsin.
Well, most of the supper clubs look the same, just so you know.
The first one ever
Mm-hmm.
was opened in Beverly Hills, but it was by somebody from Milwaukee.
So when you got to the door, did you knock on it and the guy slid the door
No,
open?
no, nothing like that.
Oh, it wasn't like a speakeasy.
They generally have limited menus.
Uh-huh.
With typical American cuisine.
Yeah,
like
I was going to say, I think
prime rib, chicken, fish fries, all you can eat fish fries.
Yeah, I'm sure they got meat and potatoes there.
Oh, and they also commonly serve old fashions.
Oh, yes.
As drinks.
Mm.
And relish trays.
Oh,
I remember that too.
There's nothing better than a relish tray.
Nothing better than a relish tray.
Come on,
There's
pickles I mean, come on.
Green onions, radishes.
They
served on Lazy Susans.
Oh, so you can spin it. So
I bet if I asked my son what a Lazy Susan was, he wouldn't know.
He'd probably say girl in his class.
Oh, okay. Hey, I got a text back.
From? You got a text back? Oh.
She says, first I need to know if I actually even want dinner tonight. Because I don't always. And then I can decide.
Okay. I like that. That's good.
Yes. So I just wanted to hear what she's going to come up with.
I bet you it's
usually the next question is, then what do you want?
What do you want? Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I hate that. I don't care. What do you want?
Sometimes it bothers me. Sometimes I'm cool. I have an idea or something.
Yeah. Usually I just like, what am I going to pick up? It's just whatever.
All right. You want to go on to questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Unless you want to talk about Shohei Ohtani and his contract. Did you see that?
Well, I saw the $700 million, and then I see $20 million for 10 years, and then $68 million for the
$680 million.
Yeah,
$680 million of the $700 million is deferred into like the 2030s.
Okay,
you want to know why?
Tax purposes?
No.
Why? To help them with the.
Well, the reason the team would like this, but apparently, according to sources, it was Ohtani that suggested it so that they would have the ability to sign more players and build a better team around him.
Right.
But it reduces his, I can't remember what we would call salary cap hit.
Uh-huh.
It reduces his, I think, competitive balance tax or something like that.
Right.
So if you reach a certain level on that with all your players combined, then the owner has to pay.
But is $65 million going to be worth as much 10 years from now?
That's why. So what they do is they have a formula, and they figure that $680 million in like 2035 and on is only worth like $460,000 right now.
All right.
Because there's going to be inflation, and that's
sure.
$680 million in the 2030s and 40s isn't going to be worth what it's worth now.
That's crazy.
And they have a formula for that, and so the team is only charged with what that money will be worth then. And so instead of costing them $70 million a competitive balance tax, it's only a $48 million hit. And so they have more room to spend money.
Who is the Mets guy that's getting paid on?
Bobby Bonilla. I think that's over.
Yeah. No, did he finally cash out?
It might be over.
So it's similar to that. But, I mean, geez, $20 million a year is not a bad living. And then
I don't know what's going on here. She asked if I wanted dinner. I said yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then she said, do you want dinner again? And then she sent me a little sticker emoji of, I think, a cat.
Oh, so you're having cat?
The cat is stirring the pot.
Oh, so you're having cat food.
Maybe we're having stew.
Oh.
No, food made by a cat who also appears to be drinking a cocktail.
Oh, that's a cool cat.
It's a cool customer. So maybe we'll find out the answer by the end of this show.
Okay.
But until let's go ahead and read some emails.
I'll listen, you read.
Isn't that always the way you do it?
Yes.
Not a ton of them this week.
Okay, that's fine.
3, 4.
That's enough.
All right. Phil Schwadron in California.
Yep.
Hey, S-Dogs, I have a story about Sunday.
Oh.
Living in California, I don't get to hear the radio broadcast, and I haven't bought any NFL packages.
But I think he can listen to it now if he goes to Buccaneers.com on a desktop. He can do that.
If you let me finish reading this,
my bad.
You wouldn't have had to say anything.
Oh, damn.
So I rely on the Buccaneers app to follow the game. This can be occasionally frustrating, as the information on each play of a drive doesn't always post in a timely manner.
Oh,
and sometimes it's inaccurate at first and then corrected after a few minutes. I guess he's
reading it.
On the final Falcons drive, after we take the lead 29-25, I'm waiting and waiting for the plays to post. Then the final play comes in. Ritter to London, tackle it at 3, but according to the post, as it first came in, there were still 3 seconds left. Oh, God, I thought. We're going to lose like we did in Houston. I'm waiting and waiting for the final play to come in. I'm pacing, sweating, and praying. Then the final comes in and we win. I checked to see what happened on the 3-yard line with 3 seconds left, only to find the play was corrected to say it started with 3 seconds left, and the game ended when London was tackled at the 3. Please tell the Buccaneers front office they will be hearing from my lawyer. It took me 2 hours to calm down. That's reckless disregard for my well-being.
Yes.
Thanks for reading this epic saga. We are the division leaders. Let's keep it going.
Well, I'm not sure who types that out, but we'll have a little discussion with
So I was presented with options.
Oh.
One of which is steak,
Steak.
which I think I'm going to say no because I try not to use much red
Okay.
meat. Soup and sandwiches because it's so cold out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
And she said she can make picadillo. I don't even know if you know what that is.
What is picadillo?
It's a ground beef Cuban dish
Oh.
on rice.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's good. She's
Oh.
good.
Oh. You going to the soup and sandwich?
I'm not going to tell her she can have.
Whatever
She can decide,
wants.
but I don't want steak.
Okay, so it's the other two. All right.
I mean, I love steak. Steak is probably my favorite food in the whole world.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, just so you know, if you go to Buccaneers.com on a desktop, you can listen to the game on the desktop. It's geo-blocked on the app, but on the desktop, you should be able to hear it. We've had this, been talking with the IT people, both internally and NFL. So it should be there. And I keep forgetting when we're on the road, I want to hit it myself and see if it's there, but I get sidetracked. And so I'm going to in Green Bay. But yeah, I love that you're following it on the Bucs app, but I can tell you that you can also follow games, I don't know, on other, like the NFL stuff. They're a little more accurate quickly, especially if you're waiting that long. Wonder why would he have to wait so long?
I don't know, Jeff.
Do we do that?
Do we do what?
Do we have someone doing the play-by-play?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why it takes so long.
All right. This is from Mark in Mesa, Arizona.
All right.
Dogs. Man, that victory felt good.
It did.
And getting revenge on the road gave it a little extra something.
Oh.
Is it me, or was the DJ in Mercedes-Benz Stadium a little extra, in quote marks, trolly with the little song clips played in between plays and possessions?
Wow, he's really paying attention.
One prominent example was after an incomplete pass on third down, they played the chorus of the song, Hey Man, Nice Shot, a song I like quite a bit. I realize all the stadiums must do this to a degree, but it seemed to have been a point of emphasis yesterday. But to quote Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it doesn't matter. I didn't know. Does he say that?
I have no idea.
In all caps, because we still came away with a win. So I have some thoughts on this. I think he says it himself. Yeah, every team kind of does some of that. Like they might play the Jeopardy music when they're looking at
to judge.
Looking at a replay.
Playing
So until last time we went up there in week 18, right? And the press box was fully glassed enclosed, like ours is at Raymond James.
Yeah.
Before this season, they removed that and made it an open air stadium.
Yes.
Open air press box.
Right.
And beforehand, Andrew was like, "I really like this open air. I like open air press boxes, and it's a dome, so you don't have to worry about the weather." So, and I agree with him. I'm like, "Yeah, that is nice." But by the end of the game, I was feeling differently because I was just tired of the music, man.
Right.
They would not let a second go by that whenever there was an action, they were blaring music. And, they're creating a fun atmosphere for the fans, and I get it. But after a while, I was like, enough.
Well, that's because you're working.
I know, but it was just
if you were
partying.
Yeah, I mean, they did you notice that they had a chugging contest?
I did.
Now, did that not strike you as I can't believe they're doing that?
Well, what struck me about that is I wouldn't do it. I don't want to chug I probably just paid $15 for this beer.
No, actually, well, I don't know how much they cost there. I do know the hot dogs are cheap there.
That's one of the things that Alex was amazed by.
Right.
He's like, some of the concessions were so cheap.
Yeah, hot dog. They
had like $5 hamburgers.
Yes. They on those games they have special. Well, it's lower pricing for food and beverage.
Which
for
games?
Families? All of them.
Oh, for families.
Yeah. Well,
Alex said
but what I'm saying for families is that's their mentality is if you come to the game
because it's so
you
expensive,
can afford
you bring
it.
Four.
Yes.
Alex says he got a souvenir cup soda that was fully refillable.
Right.
for like $4.
Yeah.
That is a good price.
That's a good
at
price.
A game,
At a game. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay. Next one.
But if you're working,
done.
if you're working, like for me, the music's always pounding, and it's, I'm hearing it double whammy because I'm also hearing TJ's microphone in my headset. And I agree with you. But if I'm in the stands, it's a lot of fun. So and each stadium's different. Now, when we go to Green Bay, we're going to hear a lot of classic rock. Now, I will hate Go Pack Go. Hate it. Just hate when they do that, but they do it very well.
So I was finally presented with 3 choices.
Oh,
Since I took steak off.
okay.
She added
one.
So we have soup and sandwiches, picadillo, and she added Chinese food.
Ooh.
And asked me which one sounds best, and I'm like, Chinese.
So you're picking it up?
I don't know. We'll see.
I bet. Is she gonna make Chinese food?
No, we get it from the same place.
Okay, so you're picking it up.
She does make we do a stir fry Szechuan chicken with carrots, broccoli, bamboo shoots. It's really good.
Okay. Look at that. You're just making it great. I think I'm having chicken tonight, if anybody wanted to know. I'm just
but I don't. Nobody really wanted to know what I was.
But I don't really know whether I am or not because I haven't shot the text yet. Dinner.
We don't have a very good division of
what?
Labor on that issue because I don't cook very often.
No, I don't.
I should probably cook more often.
I don't cook and I don't grill.
But I'll go out. I don't grill either.
No.
But I'll go out and pick up food.
Oh yeah, I have no problem doing that. I've got it down depending on traffic patterns on where I need to go, and
I never get food delivered. I always go get it.
I do too. I am a big proponent of that.
All right, next one is from Daniel in Palm Harbor.
Okay.
Ahoy, Salty Dogs, and happy holidays to you guys.
Thank you.
It feels great to win back-to-back games and keep our division and keep our playoff hopes alive.
Yep, I'm with you.
Our team is definitely resilient, that's for sure, and we play for 60 minutes and never give up. This is going to be a wild, crazy, and unpredictable final month of the season, and in the NFC South, I'm thankful to have you guys along through this roller coaster ride of the last part of the regular season. Well, we're glad to have you along, too.
Sure.
I have 2 questions. What's the easiest and hardest way to make the playoffs? I think he means from right now.
The easiest is win.
The easiest is to win the division.
Yeah.
Which also gives you
But when you say win the division, you have to win games.
Yeah, but I think he's saying path to the playoffs.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because inquiring minds. When you win the division, if you didn't beat Green Bay and you didn't beat Jacksonville, but you beat New Orleans and you beat the Panthers, can you win the division?
You can, but now you're relying on.
Okay, so now you need help.
Yeah, you need help if you lose even one game.
Okay.
Because Atlanta obviously could, or New Orleans could win in their last 4.
Okay.
And if that's the one game the Bucs lost to New Orleans, so you're going to need help, but not a whole lot of help if you just lose one of those 2 non-division games. If you lose them both, I'd have to plug it into the calculator. But now you need for either Atlanta or New Orleans not to win 3 of their last 4, and I don't think either one has a terribly hard schedule left. So Atlanta has.
I think Atlanta and New Orleans play the last game of the year.
So they can't both win out.
Right.
Atlanta is at Carolina, who's won in 11?
Yeah,
won in 12. Indianapolis, which
Indy's up and down.
Yeah, they beat us, right?
Yeah,
they're up and down.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't up this week. I think they lost.
They did.
And then they have at Chicago, which a month ago I'd have been like,
yeah, there's one. But the Bears they're
looking
what,
frisky.
I think they were 4-0, and now they're
4-0. You mean 0-4
or 0-4, and now they're 5-9. Is that what it was?
5-8.
Or yeah, they remarkable comeback in the last few weeks. Things gelling for Chicago. So
they've won 3 of their last 4.
Okay. Well,
they beat Carolina.
All right.
They beat Minnesota.
Right, it's a big one.
Without Kirk Cousins.
Right.
12-10.
Yeah.
They almost beat the Lions once.
Yeah.
Lions made a crazy comeback at the end, and now they beat the Lions this time. Justin Fields has started to play really well in the last month, and their defense, which was god-awful in the early part of the season, is actually coming around now.
Yeah, and you were thinking the Lions are going to run away with everything. And
they still they still are going to win that division.
Yeah.
They're 9-4. Minnesota's 7-6 and crumbling a little bit. I mean 7-5 and 7 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You get the point.
So what you're basically saying is you just got to keep winning.
And then New Orleans finishes with The Giants at home. Giants have been frisky lately. At the Rams, and the Rams are playing great. So I like that one.
Yep.
Then at the Bucs, we've already beaten them once, and we'll be at home. And then they are at home against Atlanta. So it's a tougher road for New Orleans. Atlanta's road on paper doesn't look that hard.
But we have a tough road. If you look at the Packers, you look at
The Jags.
But
The Packers are playing well. You can. We also get to play the Panthers again.
Yeah.
Although it's there.
Correct.
And then we play the Saints,
Right.
which is always a tough game.
Yes.
All right. I can't stand up now because I'm reading the emails.
All right. You're next.
He had one more question.
Okay.
So the easiest is to win the division. The hardest would be to win a wild card just because there's so many teams in that big bunch. You kind of got to win out because somebody's going to win out or at least win 3 of 4.
Right.
So you can't probably win 2 of your 4 and get the wild card.
You're right.
You're not going to get the wild card at 8 and 9.
No.
What are we right now? 6 and 7. Okay.
6 and 7.
Also, will you, Scott, and Casey Phillips be doing a Path to the Playoffs series of video like you've done in years past?
Oh.
Thanks for reading my email and keep up the good work. Love the podcast. And the answer to that is yes, starting this week on Thursday.
Wow.
We're going to do it from here on out. We waited a little longer than usual because, as everybody knows, before these last 2 games, if we'd have lost one or both of these last 2 games, it would kind of been irrelevant. And then before, we probably should have done one last week. But if we'd have lost that Atlanta game, we'd have been in a really bad spot.
Right. And yeah.
But now that we're right there and every week should matter, yeah, we're going to do it. So good question.
A very good question.
All right. This is from Alexander in Brazil. Ahoy, salty ones. This is the last one.
All right.
Hope this finds you both well. A very important win on Sunday, and I never thought we could win this game with Mike having 1 catch for 8 yards and no TDs.
Yeah. It's
great to see Antoine Winfield Jr. playing alongside Levante David every day. Preach. Great team we have. And as TJ Reeves said if you are sad because we won and our draft position is worse, get out of here. Go Bucs. Let me ask you something. Could the Falcons lineman who recovered the strip sack in the red zone attempt to pass to avoid the safety? Is that legal? Since you did, thanks for reading. Well, first of all, it was a fullback, not a lineman. He is a big guy. That's probably why I thought that. So Ritter's made the fumble. Keith Smith picks it up. He got tackled immediately, so he really didn't have a chance to pass. But yes, the answer is it would have been
because
legal.
it's behind the line of scrimmage.
The ball has not crossed the line of scrimmage, and no forward pass has yet been attempted. So yes, he can. He could have thrown the ball, which probably would have been a very bad decision because it probably would have been a pick 6.
A very bad decision.
So yes, the answer to that question. It's an interesting question because you don't see situations like that hardly ever come up. So. All right.
But I do like what DJ said. If you're worried about the draft pick, get out of here.
Was that on the Nothing But Bucs?
It must be, that's funny.
Yeah, I would say a couple of weeks ago, we probably had a lot of fans who were wishing we'd start losing games.
When I hear that, to me, you're not a fan. That's
a little dismissive.
Well, yeah, you want your team to win. And honestly, draft picks, it's a crapshoot. I mean, you just don't know. For every Patrick Mahomes, pick one.
Zach Wilson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jamar Russell.
But all things being equal, if you're going to have a draft pick, you'd rather have it be 5 than 20.
Yeah, but I've been around a long time, and we've had a lot of high picks, and we've done well, but it takes more than just one guy.
Well,
and
all that does not refute the fact that a 5th overall pick is more valuable than a 20th overall pick.
But I think probably what I should say is where we are this year, I think you want to keep winning because you are.
Of course, we were never out of it. I agree that was the wrong thing to do, but I don't think you can completely dismiss anybody that thought that as not a fan.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I'm trying to be inclusive here, Jeff. You're trying to scare people off.
Not at all. Not at all.
All right, that's all I got, Jeff.
They're going to hate no matter what you do. So.
Haters going to hate?
Because it's like people, I see what you did there. It's kind of like, well, if you get to the playoffs, you're only going to play one game and, you're not going to, there are teams that would just get into the playoffs. I can remember many years with the Buccaneers, just get into the playoffs. Then when you get into the playoffs, you're not winning enough playoff games. And then if you're not winning enough playoff games, then when you win the Super Bowl, you won the Super Bowl. Are you going to repeat again? I mean, it's never you feed the monster.
If we win the division, we will most likely be the 4 seed
and
most likely have a home game against either Dallas or Philadelphia.
Right. Talk about excitement. We would probably be
the underdogs in either of those matchups.
No question.
But that doesn't mean it's impossible, and you can't win if you don't get there.
1979, the Eagles came down to the big sombrero.
Were they heavily favored?
They were heavily favored against the Buccaneers.
And then Ricky Bell went crazy.
And
24-17?
it was, no one gave the Buccaneers a chance. In fact, that was when they finally, pregame shows would travel, and CBS traveled on down. Brett Musburger, Jane Kennedy, big time. You remember Jane Kennedy? You don't remember?
Not really.
Okay.
I remember Brett Musburger.
Okay. So anyways, it was a big to-do, and Buccaneers.
I don't think a lot of
made it
people
happen.
thought the Bucs were going to win in Philadelphia in 2002 either.
No, and I don't think a lot of people thought the Buccaneers were going to win in New Orleans in 2020. And then they weren't going to definitely not win in Lambeau in 2020. And oh, by the way, they were not going to win
They're not going to beat
against the
Patrick Mahomes.
and they're not. Yeah, it's just
So you got to get there to win.
Sure.
You got to get there. And I'm always for,
I understand
give us a
why-
shot.
Yeah, I understand why, if you're taking up all the odds and everything, you're going, oh. But you know what?
I
I want to be in it.
I think the point of view on the other side would be, okay, let's say you win the division, you get to hang a banner, you're 9-8, you get to hang a banner, you lose in the first round of playoffs if that happens. Was that worth it to have, now moving forward, you have this pick instead of that pick? Was it worth it to you? It's worth it to me.
Yes.
The answer is yes, it was worth it.
But you also could say all the other teams that get to the Super Bowl and you lose, and was it worth it to get there and then lose?
It hurts, but it was
hurts.
worth it.
Yeah, But I'm just saying, you got to get into the dance.
I'm a fan in baseball of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes, you are.
And they had a bad year last year.
They
But
did.
it was one of the first times in the last 20 something years
Right.
that they've had a losing record, I think. And I didn't get one tiny bit upset because they've been in it. They've had a chance
Mm-hmm.
almost every year for 2 decades. That's all you can ask for, because you're not going to win the World Series every year. You're not going to win the Super Bowl every year. But the more times you have a chance, eventually you get a shot. You eventually get it.
Ask the San Diego Padres if they're happy that they got into the dance.
They probably were.
Yeah.
Did they get in
Yeah. Padres went to the World Series, did they not?
last year?
This year. This past year. Wasn't it against or maybe was it Arizona?
I thought that
No, Arizona. Arizona snuck in. They were 14 games behind. Some craziness.
they didn't win it. But
No, but they got there. So
yeah, I think the Padres were actually an epic disappointment last year.
yeah, they were. I take it back, but they did make the playoffs, and then I think
No,
they didn't make
no,
the playoffs.
I don't think the Padres made the playoffs
Really?
last year.
they were so hot.
They were not. They were bad considering the talent that they put together.
For some, I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing my years.
Maybe you're just confusing.
I'm always confused.
San Diego went 82-80.
And where did they?
Did not make the playoffs.
Okay, Arizona was 84,
84-78.
and they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Didn't they play Texas in the World Series?
They did.
And Texas won.
They did.
Which it was the first championship for the Rangers, and the reason why they didn't have another one was because the St. Louis Cardinals
Yep.
made an amazing comeback with David Freese in Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, and then won it in Game 7.
But there you go. I mean, there were teams that had over 100 wins and got blown out of the playoffs immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I'm with you, Scott. Get into the playoffs and go. Just make it happen. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
I'm gonna go get some Chinese food.
Is that what you decided? Is that what?
Yeah.
That's it.
So
huh?
it'll probably be cashew chicken.
Okay.
She might get hot and sour soup,
Oh.
crab rangoon.
Oh.
Probably if you get if you buy a certain dollar amount, they give you free steamed dumplings, which are great,
Oh.
and then maybe Szechuan beef.
No chicken fried rice.
She might get fried rice, but
I love fried
it would be
rice.
special fried rice, and it has 3 or 4 different.
Yeah, I love fried rice. That's a go-to.
But there's only 2 of us, so we really don't need all of those items.
Well, maybe you can have it for dinner tomorrow too.
yeah, we would definitely have leftovers.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Since you did, thanks for listening.